Hey, RMP faithful, this is Over Easy Stevie, and I would like to thank you for listening to RMP Radio, where pro wrestling is elevated.
Your generation's out here wishing for good. My generation's on the front lines wishing they would give it a rest. Don't test, you'll be severed for good. Don't get ahead of me. You never survive in our neck of the woods. We've come a pretty long way. There's so much I could say. It's never really gone away. I feel it in my bones. Like a bright light through it all. I'll never let it go.
RMP Radio is back on the air. Hi, I am your host, Mr. Fourth Row, and joining me on this edition, I've got Killian Krowe. Killian, how you doing?
How's it going, Fourth Row? Thanks for having me.
No, we're very welcome. Doing just fine. So, like we do here on RMP Radio, we get to know a little bit more about the person, the wrestler, the person behind the wrestler, outside of the wrestling ropes and things like that, and a few things maybe the listeners might be interested in knowing. Kind of things you get to do when you do have free time, and you're a kind of busy guy. You're one thing that they may or may not know, but people I know, a lot of fans in attendance know that you are a dad.
Yes,
And
sir.
you've told me that your son's to the age where it's kind of the fun. You get to teach him and get him. He's in that learning stage, and it's fun to like teach him those kind of things. What have you experienced there with your son at this point?
Oh man, he just passed a year, so he's already running. Little clumsy, falls a lot, but he's a little bit tougher than me, so he gets back up and keeps walking. But being able to see him run around and like having him at the Wimmer, just seeing him like look at the lights above, being in the ring, he loves the bounce of it and like loves to run around and play on the ropes and stuff. So man, being able to see him like taste new things, he is definitely my son. He's huge on pickles. He'll gnaw on an entire pickle as long as I'll let him. He got to try some of Rocky Mountain Pro's best pickles before they were not around anymore. So
Yeah.
pickles run deep in this family, and he picked that up. So that's been pretty funny to watch because he gets that sour look on his face,
Yeah.
but he'll keep eating because he likes it. So that's, I don't know. Every day it's something, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. How is it balancing being a dad and doing the wrestling thing?
It was hard at first. It definitely took me for a whirl because I have like a bit of an obsessive personality. So when I really get into something, it's like when I'm not doing it, I'm at home studying how to do it or studying different ways on whatever I can find out on the thing that I'm obsessed with. And once that became wrestling, it was watching every episode that I could watch of different promotions and back studying the promotion that I wrestle at and watching all those episodes. And like, it took up a lot of time. It definitely took up a lot of the first few months he was about 3 months when I started doing this. So I did miss the first few months of his life. I mean, I was here, but I was gone a lot. I've started to get a handle on it now. I've been able to like, when I'm at home with my family. I'm spending time with him, even if I'm watching tape or if I'm watching podcasts or different post shows, whatever we got to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm making sure that I'm sitting with him and like I'm actively doing stuff with him while I'm obsessing.
Yeah.
So been able to, and now that he's more involved of like, he's at all the shows now.
Yeah.
So being able to see him in the crowd and he gets all excited when he notices it's me. And
Yeah.
so it's hitting a good stride as far as being able to separate the two, but find time for both.
Yeah. Do you think he's absorbing it? Do you think he's catching on a little bit? You said he's locking eyes when you get you on that ring. Do you ever catch it? Do you ever catch it when he's locking eyes on you when you're in that ring? And so,
I do.
What's the feeling like? What does it hit? What hits you?
Yesterday was the first time that I caught him do it. I had been told that he does it before, but yesterday I got in the ring and I faced the crowd and like did my thing, and I looked down and he was in the front row with his mom, and he tries to clap, but his coordination is not all there, so he'll miss his hands sometimes. So I could see him trying like half-ass clap like everyone else was, but he was looking at me and had this like smirk on his face. So like I had an overwhelming of like pride, like everybody wants to be their kid's hero. Like I get the chance to be, so it's pretty cool.
That's very, very awesome. So from there, one other thing that making a little bit of a transition is one thing besides balancing the fatherhood thing with the wrestling is, and all the wrestlers have got to do this. They've got to have some level of fitness and things like that. But your background, you have a little bit of and we can of course see that in Killian in the ring, is that you do have a little bit of a jujitsu background. What got you curious about studying that discipline?
It was much like watching wrestling as a kid. The UFC started doing like really, really big things in my like primitive years. And I didn't have the best of growing up. I was like that out of shape kid who didn't have a lot of friends. So I got bullied a lot. So once the MMA thing started coming, I actually started training when I was about 12 in jujitsu and kickboxing, mainly just a way to defend myself because I didn't have like older brothers, or like I was in it alone when kids wanted to bully me. So it was pretty much just a way to defend myself at first. And then it became like I don't know how to explain it. It's something that I could get better at, because it's like chess almost. It's very slow paced when you're learning jujitsu. Constant locks and trying to find different positions. It's very slow. So I'm a very fast paced person in my head. So learning how to slow things down, it definitely taught me a lot of discipline and things like that, which was very needed for me back then. And then I had hit a really bad point in my life of where I actually went blind at one point from a really bad disease in my cornea. So I was on disability. I was living in the home of my, at that time, girlfriend's family's basement. And I started watching wrestling again, just like on a whim. I can't remember what it was. I think it was Ronda Rousey making her return or something like that. But like it reminded me again. I've had several chapters of like the reminder of how much I love it. But I started watching wrestling again and started watching fighting again. And I couldn't really find any coaches to train me. I was like a liability at the time because of my eyes.
Right. Yeah.
I ended up coming across a really great martial arts gym in Aurora that he said he couldn't teach me. He couldn't do any striking training with me because I can't really block a punch if I can't see it.
Right.
But jujitsu you can do without your eyes. It's a lot of muscle movement and different stuff like that. So he let me come train there jujitsu and started teaching me a lot more about fitness and like ways to not, like, I was very depressed at the time and I was starting to curb that with doing this rather than like eating or stuff like that were bad habits that I had formed. So that's what started getting me to lose the weight, and I'd actually gotten really obsessed with that. I started doing like different jiu-jitsu tournaments. I've won 2 Colorado state championships, 2 different years in a row. It was a new way to get myself out of my head and to doing new things. So.
Oh, wow, that's curious. So if I can ask, the blindness did you have was it actually complete blindness, or what they actually consider a blindness, and where you can still kind of, see what they call it, legally blind, I think is what sometimes they
So
call
I wasn't fully blind. There was like frames of light that came through. So
Uh-huh.
imagine that you lived your head in a milk jug, right? Like you can kind of see out, you can see shapes, but you can't really like pinpoint. Like if you were standing in front of you, and I have known each other for a little while now, we recognize each other.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know that was you standing 5 feet in front of me until I heard you talk.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a cane, the red and white cane. Um, I couldn't really go anywhere places because I would like at Walmart, for example, I would like walk around the aisle and just run into stuff because I thought I was in a straightaway, but I wasn't.
Oh.
Yeah, it was. I had to get 2 cornea transplants to fix it. So
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Wow, that's crazy. And they're pretty darn good at those things now.
yeah, it was pretty incredible actually.
Yeah. Wow. And that's and fantastic. Um, was there any speaking of that, was there any concern about doing something like the pro wrestling thing where you take a good punishment on your body of protecting that?
That's why I waited as long as I did. It's been I think 3 or 4 years now since my second transplant. The first one, it failed miserably. My eyeball actually rejected the cornea.
Okay.
So like my eye got really infected. It was actually trying to like put the whole side of my head was swollen because it was so bad. I was in the hospital for a while because it was like debilitating. They were very close to actually taking my eye because it was getting so bad, but finally the infection like calmed down.
Oh.
Once I got the second transplant, I had to wait a long time before I could do anything that was like straining because like say you lift heavy weight, right? Usually people like clench their faces or whatever. That actually affects your eye muscles. So I couldn't even do anything that was like heavy lifting or anything that's going to cause me to strain because it could like pop the thing like vessels in my eyes and stuff.
Right, like involuntary movement stuff.
Yeah. So I was like laid up for a while. My doctor gave me clearance to do like physical activity and a little bit of jujitsu as long as it wasn't like combat jujitsu.
Uh-huh.
And then yeah, it's been several years now. It's been pretty stable. You'll notice like when I wrestle, I still do my MMA stance because it gives me the opportunity to protect my eye.
Yeah.
I'm still very protective of it. So, and that was one of the things that I loved about pro wrestling is like I can kind of keep my face a lot more safe doing this than I could being in a cage.
Yeah.
Things like that. So,
Right.
yeah, that's what I love about wrestling. It brings all the things that I love together, and it keeps me a lot still dangerous.
Yeah.
Every time I'm in there, it's still dangerous as heck, but gives me the opportunity to come back home and see my son. So
true. Having that that jujitsu background, and then kind of maybe building on it with of course then with like one thing that your passion is overall fitness. How do you feel like that all melded and is melding together?
It's just overall like I don't know how to explain it. It's like I said, I'm very obsessive, so all these different things, it gives me different outlets to focus on. Even with my pro wrestling training, I still try to get my jujitsu training in when I can. I have a lot of guys from the UFC that I get the opportunity to train with that are still they're really motivating in my journey that I'm going on now. So anytime I get to get in there with them, they're very positive with me. So yeah, it's just an overall journey to better myself. Now I'm getting to the point to where I get to use my platform to help better other people. That's kind of my goal with it now. I wouldn't be where I am without the people that helped me get here. So I want to offer that to somebody like the next people.
Yeah. Pay it
Kind
forward.
of pay it forward.
Yeah. That's very, very cool. Oh, so getting from the lightheartedness of and the fun of the wacky world of professional wrestling. One thing that the listeners might be curious is that when you do have some free time and you just need to relax and things like that, some of the things that you like to do is you're big into murder mysteries. What fascinates Killian Krowe about that?
I don't know. I guess on like a darker side of it, I've always had like mental health stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like depression and things like that. So watching a murder mystery to where someone's mental health caused them to do very terrible things makes me feel less bad about myself because I don't do those terrible things. I'm also big on roller coasters, so like the suspense of like what's going to happen next are always really great with that. I'm really into horror too. I actually have several like horror based tattoos. Pennywise the Clown, Michael Myers, that's kind of my thing too. So
yeah,
anything to get my heart rate going, pretty much.
That's very cool. Is it when the fascination with that, like you said, is it just the roller coaster? And then also, are you also kind of taking a little bit of the story and kind of figuring out how this can you can work this in the ring, and whether it's the of the character of this is how the character kind of was trying to get his whatever he was trying to do over, and kind of with getting yourself in the ring is telling your story on that too.
It's definitely that type of stuff I feel like really helps with psychology, because like a lot of like especially the older horrors were like they wouldn't talk a lot. It was all body language, and like even just the way they looked at something was enough to tell a story. So being able to pick up things like that, being a big guy myself, I've been able to pick up a lot of like body movements and like things like that from shows like that, of like malevolent movements and things.
And and a lot of that too was back then too. They were trying to imply things and not actually show you the thing.
Right.
They want you to use your imagination.
Right. Which I feel like is why kind of horror has died now. Is it doesn't give it gives away everything.
Yeah.
Rather than like the anticipation of it. So yeah, I feel like the older horrors definitely had more of a lock on that for sure.
Right. Yeah. Now it's just more of we gotta sensationalize it, and by just giving you it all.
Yes, and as many jump scares as possible.
Yeah, so true. So another thing too. You've also got this. You got this weird mix: murder mysteries, and you also love the superhero stories as well. What's some of your favorite superhero stories or superheroes?
As far as shows go, I'm big on the Arrow.
Okay.
I've rewatched like all of them repeatedly. I'm actually doing that again now when I'm not watching wrestling. I'm usually watching Arrow. So, I don't know. I feel like that's the little kid in me again. Everyone loves their superhero stories. Especially like I haven't had the easiest life, so seeing all these superheroes have that same story of where they don't have a good life and they use it to their advantage. I'm trying to use that in like an actual like real case scenario, but the theme is still there, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So you mentioned Arrow. Listeners may know that the White Rabbit is a big Arrow fan as well. You two discussed Arrow?
Yes, we have. Yeah, she's very widely known for her love of Arrow. So, no, the White Rabbit herself, she's one of my good friends in the locker room. She does pretty great things for the talent she acquires. So, yeah.
Well, now that you guys have this connection, do you think she may have an eye on Killian to
never know
follow the White Rabbit?
You never know. I have seen her watching my videos, and she always has some things to say about my matches. So who knows? I may may need to have to acquire the services. Who knows?
That would be a very interesting pair up if you follow that
Rabbit
hole
hole.
there. Yeah. So and then additionally, and people can probably see this from just watching you out there in the ring. Vikings, Lord of the Rings, and medieval stuff. You're interested in that too. I'm kind of curious, and if some of your maybe your ring gear and stuff is inspired with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, 100%. The culture. As a kid, I always loved the culture. Lord of the Rings was coming out when I was pretty young, so
Yeah.
that was very big. Everybody knew about that. So I got to know that, and then I read all the books and like loved it. The Hobbit's like one of my favorite books of all time. And then as I got older, I learned like my heritage is a lot of like the Viking culture. Um, and I've actually incorporated a lot of that into what I do in the ring and like my character and stuff. And it's actually a lot of how I live my life is a lot of like Viking beliefs and things like that. So yeah, it's kind of who I am as a person.
Yeah. So you feel like you've got a little bit of a kinship when it comes to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's very cool. You anything else that when it comes to that heritage that you're maybe gonna roll in to the character, the ring gear, and the etc.
Who knows? The further I get into this, the more me comes out, the more I do this. So
Yeah.
who knows where this is going to take me?
That's awesome. Cool. All right. Hey, so speaking of that, I think that might be a great purple bow to put on this episode talking about that. But Killian, I want to, of course, thank you for coming on the show.
100%.
People, the listeners of this, they want to support you, whether it's like I believe you got merch out there, shirts, and then also on the social media. Where could they do that as well?
On Instagram, Facebook, it's at Killian Krowe on both of those. I haven't found anyone else with that name that I have to fight yet, so makes me pretty easy to find. I did just drop some new merch, some new shirts. We got some more things coming in down the line here soon. I did just drop a pre-order of shirts, so if you're interested in that, definitely reach out on Instagram or Facebook. Definitely get you in line with one of those pre-orders. But yeah, definitely reach out. Let me know what you think.
And then, of course, we should, of course, tell the RMP faithful that listening to this, of course, catch you pretty much each and every week on Ignition and Rocky Mountain Pro, and probably sprinkling in on Charged and live shows as well, probably, too.
Yeah, always Ignition. You never know where you're going to see me next, though. Always RMP, though. That's home.
Yeah, that is true. All right. Well, thanks once again for coming on, and I'll be, of course, checking in with you in the future.
Appreciate you, Fourth Row. See you soon. Thank you.
Once again, a big, huge thank you for Killian Krowe coming on to this edition of RMP Radio. And like we get to say here, get to know a little bit more about the person behind the wrestler, what their interests are, and just some kind of journeys, in-depth journeys that they've gone in Killian's case, overcoming the eye issues to get in and step into that ring. So it's such an inspiration to each and every one of us. All right, well, before we get out of here, let's pay some bills like they used to say back in the day. You want to get some merchandise of your favorite Rocky Mountain Pro superstars? A lot of different ways to do that. The first is you can head over to our website at rmpwrestling.com, click on that merchandise link, or if you're in the Amazon.com or the Amazon app, do a search for Rocky Mountain Pro. Additionally, follow each and every one of us at Rocky Mountain Pro, and you'll see when new merch drops, especially your favorite merch guy, Mr. Fourth Row, posting almost every day of things that are available at the merch table in person. And we can ship to you, or we can, even if you are in the Front Range Colorado area, we can set up in-person deliveries. So don't be afraid to get those in order. Let's get that merch churning in and out as fast as we can. So what do we got as for upcoming events? Of course, we got a huge weekend here at Rocky Mountain Pro. It's our Peak of the Pack weekend. This upcoming Friday, we got Peak of the Pack. It's going to be a little bit different than last year. In an upcoming episode, we're going to go a little in depth with that. So you'll hear that, the specifics laid on about that. So after you're done listening to this, listen to the next episode and you'll hear about that. And then on Saturday, we are going to get to our next set of charged recordings, and we're going to have 2 sessions on that Saturday, April 30th. April 29th is when we're having the Peak of the Pack, so it's going to be a full weekend. You can attend one or both of those sessions. It's as simple as, if you want to do that, follow your favorite Rocky Mountain Pro superstars, commentators, staff, etc. We all have what's called personalized links, and if you can just purchase from those links, that would be greatly helpful and beneficial to everything that we are doing here at Rocky Mountain Pro. Now, if you're not in the area for these events, Peak of the Pack you will be able to watch, and even if you are going to attend, we also too would like you to purchase the Peak of the Pack pay-per-view. It's going to be on the Fight TV platform. So you can either go to Fight TV in your web browser, or your mobile apps, or even on your Roku. It is available. It's a great way to help support a Rocky Mountain Pro, and you can watch it live on Friday night if you're unable to attend. And the great thing about a lot of the events on Fight TV is that you can purchase it and rewatch it as many times as you would like. So it's great to purchase that and add to your library. I mean, my library in Fight TV, I'm a user. I have purchased Rocky Mountain Pro events in the past and in the future, and currently will, and I will be purchasing Peak of the Pack personally out of my own funds. I'm, help supporting the cause. I'm, putting my money where my mouth is in this particular case. So we would like you to as well. Now, when it comes to the Charged, and this is going to be on the next episode of RMP Radio 2, Charged is not going to be streamed at all, so if you're not in the area, you will not be able to see it. So if you are close, within traveling distance, we do implore you to come and see that Charged before anybody else does, and you'll know all the insights and everything that happens before they get aired on all of our distribution platforms. That's going to be happening. Now, along with watching all that, of course, we do want to mention to you each and every week, do watch that Ignition on twitch.tv/Rocky Mountain Pro, as well as a lot of other things that could be happening on our Twitch channel. And of course, follow everybody out there on Team RMP on twitch.tv. We've got Titus Machiavelli, we've got Gaiden, of course, doing his gaming. We got Team Joe with Johnny Deathdrop and the Dudes and Belts on there as well. So we got all kinds of things on the Twitch. Still right now, we do have the youtube.com/Rocky Mountain Pro, where you can catch up on all the episodes of Charged and everything that we put out there. And then, of course, you can also watch our episodes on Fight TV as well. So you can, even on the Fight TV, the Charged from week to week, make Rocky Mountain Pro one of your favorites. You get notified every time a new episode gets posted. So that would be great as well if you can watch us there too. Now, in the meantime, from this podcast and each and episode of Charged and Ignition and all our pay-per-views and everywhere in between, continue to follow us out there on the interwebs. Start at rmpwrestling.com. And then on the social medias of the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, all of the username of the Rocky MTN Pro, all phonetically. Once again, spell that to you. That is the Rocky Mike Tango November Pro. And thank you for listening to this edition of RMP Radio, where pro wrestling is elevated.